Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sanjukta Das, respected Registrar, Dr. Nruparaj Sahu sir, our esteemed Chief Guest, Sri Giridhari Naik ji, IPS retired, Chairman, Chhattisgarh Human Rights Commission, our revered guest of honor of this occasion, Sri Prakash Chandra Hota ji, Eastern India Bureau Chief, AFB News, our respected guest of honor, Professor Kishore K. Basa, who would be there with us online, former Vice Chancellor, MCBU, Baripada, and Chairman, National Monument Authority. Our respected keynote speaker, Professor A.B. Otaji, IS retired, who would be there with us online, Dr. Rajat Kumar Kujur, coordinator of this event, honorable dignitaries, delegates from different colleges far across the state, respected faculty members, colleagues, media personals, resource scholars, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, a warm and happy morning to one and all. With warm regards, I welcome you all to this national workshop on perspective on tribal identity, rights and development. And I am fortunate enough to be present to witness such a wonderful occasion. With a quote from a native, when the last tree is cut down, the last river poisoned, the last fish caught, the only will men discover that he cannot eat money. The land and forest are tribal's most prized possession, livelihood, social existence, history, and a symbol of social prestige and integrity. But due to mass development, the loss of land, livelihood, culture, damage, and relocation in the scheduled areas are hampering their lives and survival. Tribal identity lies with the land, the forest, which acquires a paramount prominence in the assessment of tribal rights as a part of human discourse. For millennia, tribal people have endured continual alienation and encroachment on their resources personally and collectively. Thereby, the workshop organized by Sambalpur University has taken a significant steps towards more rigorous academic research on the fundamental issues that the tribal people deal with, which is the main reason for tribal poverty in scheduled areas. The academic community needs to step forward and get involved in relocating and debate over the ecological, communal, socio-political, and economic rights of the India's tribals largely. With this words, I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to felicitate our guest as a gesture of honor and respect. I now request our coordinator, Dr. Rajat Kumar Kujur, to felicitate our Honorable Vice Chancellor and our respected Registrar. Please, sir. I now request the coordinator of this workshop, Dr. Rajat Kumar Kujur, to deliver his welcome address and introduce our renounced guest for all of us. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Rosni Kujur. Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Sanjukta Das Madam, Chief Guest of today's workshop, National Workshop, Sri Giridhari Naik Sir, Honorable Registrar, Sambalpur University, Dr. Nruparaj Sahu Sir, our guest of honor, Sri Prakash Chandra Hota Sir, my joint coordinators of this workshop, Dr. Naku Hasda and Dr. Rosni Kujur, On behalf of the Sambalpur University and on behalf of the organizing committee of this national workshop, I extend you all a warm welcome. It is indeed an honor to be the coordinator of this national level workshop organized on the theme of tribal identity, tribal rights, and tribal development. I deem it a privilege to welcome our chief guest, Sri Giridhari Nayak sir. And it is also my privilege to inform you all that Sri Giridhari Nayak sir is not new to this university. This is his third visit to Sambalpur University as a chief guest. Sri Giridhari Nayak sir, once a super cop, now the chief custodian of human rights. Sri Giridhari Nayak sir, an IPS officer of high reputed, a decorated police officer who served the Naxal hit Chhattisgarh state for long. He held several positions in the state police of Chhattisgarh. He has also the distinction of the only IPS officer to serve in the rank of DG at the Government of India level. Sri Nayak sir, as I told you people that he was the head of the anti-Naxal operations in the Chhattisgarh state. In that capacity, he had this first-hand experience to look at the issue of tribal identity and the crisis of tribal development. There are many misconceptions in the mind of different sections of the society, which creates confusions with regard to the extremism and the cause of tribal underdevelopment. I have also the honor to inform the August House that Sri Giridhari Nayak has extensively written on the issues pertaining tribal development, human rights, left-wing extremism. He has also authored a book, very, very reputed book in the academic circle, and the name of the book is The Neo-Naxal Challenge. Sir, it is my privilege to welcome you in this national workshop. Today also we have amidst us our guest of honor, Sri Prakash Chandra Hota, a son of the soil, also an alumni of Sambalpur University. Sri Hota presently is working as the Central India correspondent for the international news agency AFP, Agnes France Press. Before joining this assignment, he previously worked with a host of print and electronic media houses. He had been working in and around Raipur for long, and he has also closely observed the issue of tribal development, the issue of the crisis of tribal identity, the issue of the dismantling of tribal cultures. And when we were planning of this workshop, it was our unanimous choice to invite Sri Hota to this program as our honorable guest of honor. We are also very fortunate to invite Professor A.B. Hota, former IAS officer, for this program as our keynote speaker. He had agreed to come. Unfortunately, today morning, he had developed some health issues for which he had sent his regret that he will not be present with us. Sir, we also welcome you and thank you for your kind gesture. On behalf of the organizing committee, I must say that the program today we are able to organize. It was because of the active support and leadership from our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sanjukta Das Madam, and our Registrar, Dr. Nuparaj Sahu Sir. It was their vision to have this type of program in this university. Actually, previously, we had been invited by the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe for a workshop, national level workshop at New Delhi. In that workshop, certain themes, certain issues were discussed, and it was decided that the message from the center must be transmitted to the ground level, and it was decided that the universities have this responsibility to do the role of a facilitator and messenger. So with this motive, we in the Sambalpur University are organizing this program. With these words, I welcome the delegates who have come from different universities and colleges to this workshop. I welcome the faculty members of Sambalpur University for this program, the research scholars of Sambalpur University belonging to various PG departments. I welcome them all and seek their active participation for this program. My dear students, it's your enthusiasm which will make the program a success. With these words, once again, I welcome you all for this one-day workshop on tribal identity, tribal rights, and tribal development. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, so much for introducing our renowned guest in such a remarkable way. And we are really honored to have a guest amongst us. Now, with all my humbleness, I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sanjukta Das, to brief out the objective of this workshop and enlighten us.
A very good morning and warm welcome to you all. Esteemed Sri Giridhari Nayak, IPS retired Chairman, Human Rights Commission, Chhattisgarh, and the chief guest of this inaugural function. Honorable Professor A.B. Ota, the former Director Special Secretary, SC/ST, RTI, as the keynote speaker, but unfortunately just half an hour before I received an email from him that he will not be able to join as the keynote speaker because of his problem. I have requested him if he could have sent me the lecture through email. We'll read it out. Revered Professor Kishore Kumar Bosa, former Vice Chancellor, Maharaja Sriram Chandra Bhanja, University Baripada, and Chairman, National Monument Authority of India, and the guest of honor. Respected Sri Prakash Chandra Hota, Eastern India Bureau Chief, AFB News, and the guest of honor. Esteemed Dr. Nuparaj Sahu, Registrar, Sambalpur University, and the person behind in each aspect of this workshop. My colleagues, Dr. Rajat Kumar Kujur and Dr. Naku Hasta, the coordinator and the joint coordinator of this workshop. Invited research persons sitting in front of the dais, especially Professor Premananda Ponda, the former Professor of Anthropology and the Director, Special Secretary, SC/ST, RTI Odisha, Professor S.K. Sahu, Chair Professor, Science and Technology, Professor P.K. Nayak, that is the co-director R&D, and the coordinator of COE, NPT, my dear HODs and faculty members of Sambalpur University, invited teachers from affiliated colleges of Sambalpur University and from different departments of Sambalpur University, research scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen. I feel it a privilege to welcome you all and a responsibility to state briefly the objectives of this workshop. A team consisting of 4 members, 2 teachers, Dr. R.K. Kujur and Dr. N. Hasda, 1 student, Ms. Sonali Barai from chemistry, and I had attended the national workshop in New Delhi, organized by the NCST, where a good number of resource persons from different parts of the country, including the UGC chairman, the ICSSR director, deliberated on the misconception relating to the different aspects of tribals' culture, practices, livelihood, and knowledge system. Most of the research works conducted on these people focused not only on the poor living condition of these people, but also highlight their traditional cultural norms, practices, their attachment to nature, their local resources. People trap them at the low level of equilibrium. We are also enlightened and got the feedback and insight to encourage and engage ourselves in the research work relating to these aspects in order to change these notions and to highlight the strong points inbuilt in the resources of the tribals. These resources include the physical and natural resources, the social resources, the social relation, their human capital, the indigenous knowledge system, the traditional skill they possess, the strong and effective institutions which govern them. Because despite the attacks, the pressure by the nature in the form of different natural disasters, outside people and their institutions, the tribes have successfully survived and protected their identity. As a part of our duty and a follow-up of the NCST New Delhi workshop, we have organized this workshop in order to encourage more research work on these aspects relating to the tribes and especially by the researchers of this group. Why? The present research works on the tribes suffer from colonial hangover, which pictures most aspects of the tribes as substandard, as these differ from the mainstream situations. When the outsiders do the research work, they often base their research on a short stay in the area. The in-depth pictures, the philosophy, the rationality behind many decisions, and the actions of the tribal people, the nails that help the system to run smoothly, are not captured in their work. If we make a review of the existing research works relating to the tribes, we find that an inferior status is accorded to the things related to the tribes. The method of cultivation they use, the cropping pattern they adopt, their way of management of the forest and natural resources, their food basket and the food habits, their traditional knowledge system and its deliberation, their strong system of shock absorber, all these are considered as primitive and are concluded that these keep the tribals at a low level of living. The tribals living in the interior hilly areas know their connectivity limitation, where they will fail to get their requirement from the outside world through the market. Possibility of trade and exchange with the outside world is limited due to the hilly and steep terrain. Development of transport communication facility to their area is likely to reduce their beloved resources, the hills, the forest, the trees and the biodiversity. Hence, they try to be self-sufficient and happy with the resources they have, conserve and manage them sustainably, and remain happy, healthy. The mainstream researchers consider this behavior of the tribals as subsistence, method of production, with consumption of coarse, inferior grains. They are depicted to be wasting the time idly instead of working more, producing more, and consuming more. There is an urgent need of research to show that the food habits of the tribals, their lifestyle, the beverages they consume, the traditional ethnomedicine they use are not of inferior quality. Rather, they are steeped with intense knowledge of the environment. Through scientific studies and experiments, these things need to be established. We have in the post-launch session deliberation by research persons from different science departments to address these matters in detail and help us to prepare research proposals to study these aspects. I hope some of our young researchers will be motivated by our deliberation and apply research projects to the different funding agencies. There is also an urgent need to bring into the limelight the social system, the institutions that tribes possess, especially the institutions that govern them in their access to and management of resources, the customs, the traditions that make them mentally and socially healthy. Most of the present research work depicts shallow and barbaric picture without going into the details of the philosophy and the rationality behind the rituals. The surface level depiction not only depicts the situation as inferior, but also possesses a threat to the replacement of these practices by the mainstream practices known as Sanskritization. The traditional ethos ingrained in the folklore narratives are likely to be replaced by the standardized practices popularized through television. This may create a threat to the loss of cultural identity. So, in the post-launch parallel session for social sciences, our research persons will deliver these issues more in detail and will help to identify research proposals and issues. I hope some of our young researchers will be motivated by our deliberation. I hope many of you would apply for the project funding. I must inform you all that the director of ICSSR has promised that this time more number of projects will be sanctioned on the tribes. Please take note that the last date of submission of proposal to ICSSR this year is 26th December 2022. Please apply accordingly and do not miss the opportunity. Our resource persons in the inaugural and second sessions will enlighten in detail the needs and opportunities for research on tribes of Odisha relating to their identity, rights, and development. I express my deep sense of gratitude to our chief guest, Sri Nayak, and the guest of honor, Sri Hota, and the resource person, Professor Premananda Ponda, who have accepted our invitation and have taken pain to travel long distance to be with us physically to enlighten us. I am also thankful to our guest of honor, Professor Basa, and research person, Professor Deepak Misra and Professor Bipin Jojo and Dr. Prasanna Patra, who have agreed to spare their valuable time with us and address and enlighten us online. I'm also thankful to other resource persons who are my colleagues from Sambalpur University. I'm also thankful to Professor A.P. Padi, who has agreed to join us as the chief guest in the valedictory session. I acknowledge all the supports and guidance received from my colleagues in the university, from the seniors and the technical support from different people such as Sapan Misra from Sambalpur, our assistant engineer Mahanti Babu and his team, e-governance people, especially Subrat Kaur. I must acknowledge the guidance I have received from the core team consisting of Professor S.K. Sahu, Chair Professor Science and Technology, Dr. Nubraj Sahu, the Registrar, the Professor P.K. Nayak, Director R&D Cell and Coordinator of COE and PT, Professor Acharya, Head of the Anthropology Department of Anthropology, Coordinator RDTS, Professor P.K. Behara, Director IQSC, Professor B. Satpati, NAC Coordinator, Professor Vinata Nayak, Coordinator FSTN, Professor T. Palta Singh, Professor of Sociology, Dr. S.P. Das, HOD Political Science, Dr. Minoketan Sahu, HOD Law, who helped me to design this workshop. I must acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Rajat Kujur, the coordinator of the workshop, who have been working hard, even late night, to have this program successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam, for sharing your valuable words and enlightening us through the objective of the workshop, which really need to be examined and studied. With utmost modesty, I now request our revered guest of honor, Sri Prakash Chandra Hotaji, to come and enlighten us with his valuable words.
Good morning all. Is a respected police officer, very rare in this country, who is known for his honesty and integrity and his strict nature. Dr. Sahu, Dr. Kujur, all my friends present here. We have been talking about tribal identity. I'm really sorry to say this. This country took 50 years to have a tribal cabinet minister. And the country took 75 years to have a tribal in the top constitutional positions of the country. This is the real identity. We have been talking about tribal identity, but when it comes to really giving respect to the tribal, their culture, their traditions, we were talking with Professor Panda, Saura art has yet to got GI taglines. We have never worked on things that we need to focus on. We have been talking about tribal paintings, tribal culture, tradition, food, everything. Have we really ever able to document all those things? In the year 2000, when I landed from Delhi in Chhattisgarh, I asked people, I've heard about Bastar, which was the undivided Madhya Pradesh. Indian has never written a book on Bastar. And they said, sorry, that is the best book. Equally condemnable, I told somebody I need to understand Veda, and I was told, read Max Muller, that's the best book. Where have gone all those traditional, simple books through which we could understand our own culture, tradition, and everything? There was an old saying, when the king changes, the religion of the people have also been changed. When Asoka came, people from Orissa became Buddhist. When Aurangzeb became king, or Akbar, people become Muslim. But when Veer Surendra Sai became the king, have we really converted to those culture and traditions? If not, why? We recently celebrated Birsa Munda. I doubt how many of you really knew what is Ulgulan and what is its significance today. We all have in economics, we have studied total revolution, Renaissance, in political science. We have read all those kind of words. How many of really we knew Ulgulan is talking about the total Renaissance? Have we ever thought of what is the real meaning or significance of Birsa Munda today? We have been talking about Mahatma Gandhi. Yes. I have seen Barack Obama used to quote Mahatma Gandhi all the time and saying, the world need to understand Gandhi to understand the world order. Have we ever followed or understood Birsa Munda, Veer Surendra Sahib? Veer Surendra Sahib fought 35 years against the Britishers. Have we ever documented all those things? Where is Asurgarh jail? I don't know, many of you knew about that. Khinda, where he was killed. What is Pathar Lassa? Those are the key things that time people used to talk about. Legendary man Veer Surendra Sahib. We have only seen a statue of Veer Surendra Sahib in just beside jail. Nothing beyond that. Actually, this is the crisis of tribal identity. How many of us have really studied when Shivaji, after Shivaji, when Marathas were trying to enter Odisha by current Chhattisgarh, it was Surendra Sahib who stopped them. I don't think anybody has ever studied. We all have studied or knew the Brahmins were the worshippers of God, and in temple they were the priests. महादेव मंदिर रे जन झाकर पूजा करसी से झाकर की है? He belongs to which tribe, which caste? चैत मासे जेतले गाँ रे लिमटाल धरिगिरी मंगला के बुला जासी सेटा किए बुलासी? Who is that? Have we ever tried to document that? Is he a tribal or a pandit? No, I haven't seen. I haven't seen a priest, a pandit, a Brahmin moving with all those things. Tribal, if you'll ask somebody, they will say the person who got the reservation. That is not his identity. The President of India never got elected to that office through reservation. It's not that. An image is being built up. Recently, the forest village, I don't know, the anthropology people will, Professor Panda will enlighten on that. Forest village were being set up by the Britishers so that when there will be a forest camp or something will happen inside the forest, they will help that. The Supreme Court or the government of India or the bureaucrats, in a simple word, they decided that we should not have anything inside the forest area. Good. Have you ever heard a tribal felling timber and selling them? It was not a tribal, it was outside the forest people who used to involve with all this cutting of trees and other things. So why we are blaming or suspecting the tribals? The very identity of tribal were always being questioned. The Gorkhas were known as the most trusted men. How many of you heard a tribal really ditched somebody? In the present context, my friends, I've worked in Delhi for 10 years. In Delhi, the household maids, they were tribals. All the big sorts, they keep a tribal at their home for babysitting. And they prefer a tribal because they knew a tribal will never teach. Then why we have been talking about only Gorkhas? Why we have never been talking about a tribal, the most trusted man? Because we never documented them in that way. When it comes to tribal identity, I will cite two examples. One is in this house, we have much better population of girls than boys, so also in many constituencies, many districts, the women have outsmarted the male, or in other language, the sex ratio is better in tribal than non-tribals. Have we respected them ever for this? If we have a better female percentage than a male in any of the Vidhan Sabha constituency or Lok Sabha constituency, have we ever praised them? The election commission has ever come forward and say, no, the tribals have a better percentage, and especially the girls? No. This is our psyche. I will cite one example. We have been talking about rights. Rights is coming to power and decide the things. That is the right. In a simple language, whoever is in the power, they decides what is right and what is wrong. In a political science, simple political parlance. Let's example of Chhattisgarh I am citing. Chhattisgarh has 90 assembly constituencies. 77 has 10% to 80% tribal population. Out of 90, 77 has 10 to 80% of tribal population. Even after 23 years, Chhattisgarh is yet to get a tribal chief minister. This is the identity, and this is the right. And equally, this is the development of tribals. When it comes to constituency, 30 constituency, they have 32% of population. Have we ever talked about Jharkhand is a tribal state? What do you mean by tribal state? Where tribal are being exploited? Is that the identity? Jhabua, one of the thickly tribal populated. What is the development index? Long back, I had been to Kalahandi in the beginning of my career as a journalist. When I reached Bhawanipatna, I saw one Amrapalli bar almost 30-35 years back. I saw a bar there in the bus stand called Amrapalli bar, and I realized what Kalahandi is. If people don't have a purchasing power, how come we have a bar, a liquor shop with higher selling price? When I landed in Bastar in the night, I was surprised to see the income tax office there in Bastar, and I realized people have so much of paying capacity that the income tax office has its premises, has its office, has its offices posted there in Bastar, and we have been talking about poverty. We have been talking about livelihood. The court have banned felling of trees in Bastar or in Chhattisgarh because there was a Malik Maqbuja. Malik Maqbuja is nothing but you take lease of the land from somebody, fell the tree and return the land. That was an organized crime. And you'll be surprised to know the government, because of the court's intervention, the tree felling was banned in Chhattisgarh, especially in Bastar. But still, if anybody has seen Puspa, the way trees were felling and being sent in the downstream, it has been happening in Bastar. Who are the people who are behind this? The people talking about tribal culture is a romanticism thing. Professor Ota sir has really done a good job. I had been recently to the Travel Museum in Bhubaneswar. It is really good that we are able to preserve all those things. But tribals are not a person to be lived in a museum. We need to understand and we need to find out their relevance politically, sociologically, anthropologically, and economically. We need to understand their real contribution. Bamboo suit, we have been, I love bamboo suit. Karil in Hindi or Handwa or Kaddi, that is in my lingua franca. It has been banned. But what is the people who have banned all those things? What have they done? For a corporate house planting bamboo and selling them to those people, the bureaucrats have limited themselves to that much. What about the tradition? If Dal Khai is not a song actually. It is a worship. For every tribal festival, for every tribal rituals, it is related or it is a part of flora and fauna. Have we ever talked about those things? They are the things. I think my time is off. I'm not a researcher that I should talk on one particular issue. I've been advised previously also that I should talk in one issue. I'm a journalist. My job is to travel around and see things. I'm putting forth before this august audience. They need to deliberate on this. They need to understand, they need to answer why things are not being documented, why we are not being linked today with those world and talking about all romanticism things. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, with all my generous requests, I now request Professor Kishore K. Basa, a guest of honor, who would be joining us online to share his ideas on this burning topic on tribal rights, identity, and development.
Can you hear me, please? Hello, good morning.
Sir, you are audible. Actually, please wait a while. We are connecting you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So please tell me when I will have to start. I'm ready. Okay. उनका प्रॉब्लम है सर. ମୁଁ ତ ରେଡି ଅଛି, ମାନେ ମୋ ଭଏସ ବୋଧେ ଶୁଣା ଯାଉନି ନା କଣ? ହଁ, ମାନେ ଆମ ତରଫରୁ ତ କିଛି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ନାହିଁ, ସେପଟେ ବୋଧେ କିଛି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ରହୁଛି।
ହେଇଯିବ ସାର୍, ହେଇଯିବ, just 1 minute.
ଓକେ, ହଁ, ଆଇ ଏମ୍ ରେଡି। ତୁମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ରେଡି ହବ ମତେ କଲ୍ କର।
ହଁ ସାର୍, ହଁ ସାର୍।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, फाइल है, और ये भी MS साहब भी आएंगे, वो मीटिंग के मैंने वो जो पूरी जाने के लिए। ये उनका प्रॉब्लम है, थोड़ा बैठो। ଗୁଗଲ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଯିବି।
Google ले जाओ सर, जाके सर,
अच्छा, ठीक है,
Google ले
ठीक है,
देखो।
ठीक है। हाँ, ओके, यहाँ पे यहाँ से एग्जिट कैसे जाएंगे? एग्जिट,
आप Google ले जान कर दो।
हाँ,
সারা এলাকা নে सारा इलाका ने डाक बजा हो जय जय पश्चिमांचल